Whoa, yay. Shape. Sent when a touch point has changed its shape. This event does not occur on its own. It is sent before a Wayland touch their frame event and carries the new shape information for any previously reported or new touch points of that frame. Other events describing the touch point, such as Wayland touch their down, Wayland touch their motion, or Wayland touch their orientation, may be sent within the same Wayland touch their frame. A client should treat these events as a single logical touchpoint update. The order of Wayland touch their shape, Wayland touch their orientation, and Wayland touch their motion is not guaranteed. A Wayland touch their down event is guaranteed to occur before the first Wayland touch their shape event for this touch ID, but both events may occur within the same Wayland touch their frame. A touch point shape is approximate没有重连，妈的！老是断线，就是他妈因为他妈搞的那个域名污染，动不动就是 temporary name result failure， 临时域名解析失败，然后就断线了，妈的！等过几天，最多到下周，我要搞这个教程 Day013，就是绕过域名污染的教程。妈的，老子他妈我都他妈搞了一个代理服务器呢，我操！你他妈给我代理服务器里面还给我搞域名污染，妈的，真他妈过分了，我操approximated by a ellipse 那个椭圆 ellipse through the major and minor axis lengths. The major axis length describes the longer of the ellipse. Diameter 直径 diameter 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 meter meter diameter 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 直径 while the minor axis length describes the shorter diameter. Major and minor are这个垂直的、正交的、垂直的、相互垂直的。orthogonal orthogonal 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 什么了吧 orthogonal 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 and both are specified in surface local coordinates. The center of the ellipse is always at the touch point location as reported by Wayland touchdown or Wayland touchdown move. This event is only sent by the compositor if the touch device supports shape reports. The client has to make reasonable assumptions about the shape. If it did not receive this event, ID major minor. Orientation touch their orientation 时间 sent when sent when touch point has changed its orientation. This event does not occur on its own. It is sent before a touch frame event and carries the new shape information for any previously reported or new touch points of that frame. Other events describing the touch point, such as when I touch the down, when I touch the motion, or when I touch the shape, may be sent within the same touch frame. A client should treat these events as a single logical touch point update. The order of Wayland touch the shape, Wayland touch the orientation, and Wayland touch the motion is not guaranteed. A Wayland touch the down event event is guaranteed to occur before the first Wayland touch their orientation event for this touch ID, but both events may occur within the same Wayland touch their frame. The orientation describes the clockwise angle of a touchpoint's major axis to the positive surface y-axis and is normalized to the negative 180 to positive 180. Degree range. The granularity of orientation depends on the touch device. Some devices only support binary rotation values between 0 and 90 degrees. This event is only sent by the compositor if the touch device supports orientation reports. Orientation fixed. Surface along Y. Wayland output. And output describes part of the compositor geometry. The compositor works in the compositor coordinate system, and an output corresponds to a rectangular area in that space that is actually visible. This typically corresponds to a monitor that displays part of the compositor space. This object is published as global during startup or when the monitor is hot blocked. Subpixel. This enumeration describes how the physical pixels on output are laid out. Unknown geometry. No geometry. Horizontal RGB, horizontal BGR, vertical RGB, vertical BGR.那显示器还能返回这种信息的吗？像素，这像素排列。红绿蓝，水平红绿蓝，水平白蓝蓝。Enum transform. This describes transformations that clients and compositors apply to buffer contents. The flipped values correspond come to an initial flip around a vertical axis followed by rotation. The purpose is mainly to allow clients to render accordingly and tell the compositor so that for full-screen surfaces, the compositor will still be able to scan out directly from client surfaces. Counterclockwise 逆时针90度，逆时针180度，逆时针270度。翻转，沿Y轴翻转。翻转，然后90度翻转180分之Geometry event Wayland output the geometry 时间。The geometry event describes geometric properties of the output. The event is sent when binding to the output object, and whenever any of the properties change, the physical size can be set to 0 if it doesn't make sense for this output. G for projectors or virtual outputs. The geometry event will be followed by a down event starting from version 2. Clients should use Wayland surface their prefer the buffer transformation instead of the transform mode advertised by this event to find the preferred buffer transformation to use for surface. Wayland output only advertises partial information about the output position and application. Some compositors, for instance, those not implementing a desktop style output layout, or those exposing virtual outputs might fake this information. Instead of using X and Y, clients should use XDJ output their logical position. Instead of using make and map, so clients should use name and description. X position within the global compositor space, Y position within the global compositor space, Y in millimeters, physical Y in millimeters of the output. Millimeters,厘米吧，毫米 millimeters, height in millimeters of subpixel. Make textual description of the制造商 make model textual description of the model transform XTJ output the logical position. Description. Null let the name or description. Oh. Earlier.2497。哦，在这里。Geometry mode. These flags describe properties of an output mode. They are used in the flag bit fields of the mode event. Indicate this is the current mode. Indicate this is the preferred mode. Current preferred. White hat refresh. The mode event describes an available mode for the output. The event is sent when pointing to the output object, and there will always be one mode, the current mode. The event is sent again if an output changes mode for the mode that is now current. In other words, the current mode is always the last mode that was received with the current flag set. Non-current modes are deprecated. a compiler can decide to only advertise the current mode and never send other modes. Clients should not rely on non-current modes. The size of a mode is given in physical hardware units. If the output of the output device, this is not necessarily the same as the output size in the global compiler space. For instance, the output may be scaled as described in Wayland output scale, or transformed as described in Wayland output transform. Clients willing to retrieve the output size in the global compiler space should use XDG output their logical size instead. The vertical refresh rate can be set to 0 if it doesn't make sense for this output. If a virtual output, the mode event will be followed by a down event starting from version 2. Clients should not use the refresh rate to schedule frames. Instead, they should use the Wayland surface frame event or the presentation time protocol. Note this information is not always meaningful for all outputs. Some compilers, such as those exposing virtual outputs, might fix the refresh rate or the size flags between mode flags, current, width of the mode in hardware units, height of the mode in hardware units, refresh, vertical refresh rate in兆赫兹。兆赫兹，我操，太夸张了吧！这才对嘛！100多赫兹，200多赫兹就够了，你他妈兆赫兹！赫兹，他这里他妈是我打错了，还是他打错了？ 妈的，这里肯定他妈的打错了吧？应该。到时候用代码验证一下，看它那值是不是60或者是什么的。不可能，不可能他妈照赫兹，我操！当this event is sent after all other properties have been sent after being pending to the output object and after any other property changes done after that. This allows changes to the output properties to be seen as atomic even if they happen with multiple events scale.